Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with another episode of our RimWorld War Let's Play. So, in the last episode, we fought a decent little raid that allowed us to take some prisoners. So, we have obviously a few wounded of our own, and then down here in what's eventually going to be the prison, we have a couple of characters that are not doing so well. We'll have to keep an eye on them and see how they do. But I've kind of given up on Lods because he has asthma, and that's going to require constant treatment. Bauer is a little bit better health-wise, and a decent character all around. And then Carle is a pretty decent character as well. But we'll have to see how she does with her infection. She also lost a leg, so we'll need to get her a new limb if we're going to try to recruit her. So before we get started today, I want to let you guys know that we are probably going to be transitioning over to 1.0 fairly soon, which means that this Let's Play will have to come to an end. And so I will try to set up an adequate send-off for this playthrough. And so what that'll probably mean is that if we can't get an elaborate enough defense system set up by then, I'll go into God mode and I'll build the trench network that we would have eventually tried to put together by the end of this playthrough. And then I'll spawn just a massive raid to throw at it, and we'll see how long we can hold with the defenses we would have had. So let's get things rolling here, and might go 2x speed just for a little bit. We're still a little low on food. Things are much better though. We just need to actually get this stuff cooked is kind of the issue. We're having difficulty keeping up with that. Oh look, we have some thrumbos. Grace, you are the only one sleeping right now. What is the deal? Oh, did we keep you up too long? Okay, well, got a lot of people mining away down there. I wouldn't mind grabbing this steel here. We don't need it super badly, but steel is steel, and we'll need it eventually. So let's dig all this out. I think it's safe to assume that that's probably all steel right there. And that'll give my colonists something to do other than just kind of digging away at the quarries. I also need to... I don't know if I want to do it in the quarry room. No, there's really not any space for it. But we need somewhere that we can cut stone blocks aside from this one here, because obviously the prisoners can't access this. So we need, you know, one of these elsewhere. And I also need to set up a smelter. Alright, so Alessia is getting some meals cooked for us. Hopefully that's enough to carry us over until Grace wakes back up and starts working again. Because otherwise, you know, people are going to start eating away at those berries, and frankly, the food lasts a lot longer when we can kind of go a little bit of meat, a little bit of plant matter. If we just do all one or the other, they eat it raw, it's a lot less efficient. So, let's see, is there any animals about? Still a lot of corpses, but I haven't really seen any animals. And that's unfortunate, because we could use the meat. We are into spring here, and it is still very cold and very frozen outside. I guess we could hunt the thrumbos, but that seems like an awful idea. Well, they are the only animals on the map. It's just that we'd have to set up something really elaborate to kill them. I don't want to risk losing somebody to something stupid like that. So I don't know that I'll bother. Because the only thing I can think of is I'd have to basically set up like I'm going to defend a raid and then try to lure them over there. And I don't know how well that'll go. Let's see. Is anybody feeding the prisoners, by the way? We need a better system for this, I think. So we can set up a nutrient paste dispenser. let's take a look at that now. So that's under production. Nutrient paste dispenser. We could slap one down here and just set up some hoppers next to it. Let's go ahead and do that. And I'll put hoppers, I forget which way they have to face, or if it even matters. I don't know that it does. Let's just do that. And that's where they'll get their food from. We can set up some tables next to it, I suppose. I should probably put down a floor as well, huh? So for now, I'm just going to do concrete floors. These guys are prisoners, so I don't really care how pretty it is in here. So let's throw that down. We are going to need some supports in here as well. I'd like to replace that with a support, and then we need one more or less on the other side of that. So probably like right about there, yeah. And I think that'll cover us, because as long as, yeah. So these in the middle will be less than 6 away from the supports, so that should be fine. I'll just have to figure out how best to go about that. But anyways, we'll get the floors in here so it's not, you know, super awful looking. This will be much faster than trying to smooth the floors, and obviously we just need to get somebody in there to clean it, which the prisoners can technically do themselves. I don't know if I'm going to bother setting up individual rooms for them. Generally, I'll have like little doorless cells, but in this case, I don't know if I care that much. We'll see, I suppose. Anyways, we've got the hoppers here. I'm going to make sure that they only ever get rice. It's the only thing that we're going to put in here. And if we have trouble keeping up with rice, then I may allow other things as well, but rice grows the fastest, and so I think that'll be the easiest to keep in there. I don't want to waste other stuff if I don't have to, but we'll see. If I need to allow corn as well or something, I'll do that. Obviously no meat though. Meat is harder to come by, so I'm not going to waste it on them. And really there's no point in doing that, because plant matter is so much more easily renewed that, you know, any meat we gave them would just be a literal waste. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to do is, oh, they've got it set up, perfect. So that is good to go there. These are locked, correct? Locked, and I guess that doesn't matter. These don't need to be locked, nor do these. Oh, that was. Okay, so those are all unlocked as well. That means we can unlock these. They already were unlocked. Okay. Well then. I guess we'll see how that goes. We have a new recruit. Greg. We got Greg. Well, that's good that he survived. No medicine right now. So we need to look at his job. What do you currently have on you? All kinds of crap. So we'll need to get you properly outfitted. I'm also going to change his body type because he looks kind of ridiculous. So we need to get him some weapons, obviously, and then proper uniform. I don't know that I have... I've got plenty of guns. Guns are not the issue. I don't know that I have another uniform ready, nor do I think I have another helmet. Unless, oh good, you still have yours in your inventory. Okay, then we'll have Fleming drop his helmet and give it to Greg. That is perfect. Can we get somebody to come down here and finish that? So you're gonna go unload your inventory. This damn prisoner's thieving all of our stuff. I should probably unload their inventories. Like, you don't need a camel hair long coat. Let's see. I don't care what you're wearing. I don't know why you have a bunch of... Oh my god, this is ridiculous. Yeah, get rid of all of that. And somebody will have to come collect it. They'll probably just pick it back up before we get it hauled out of there. But they'll do anything they can to just steal stuff. And I don't understand a lot of it. Like, they're just picking up like random clothing. It might be a... It might be part of the While You're Up mod where they're supposed to kind of pick things up to haul them. And so they'll basically fill their inventories with stuff that needs to get hauled. But with prisoners, their paths are somewhat limited. They can't go everywhere that they might intend to, so they'll pick something up to haul it, and then they can't get to where they need to go, and they'll just keep it in their inventory forever because they can't deliver it. So I think that's what we're seeing. I think. What are we putting here? Meals? So that's set to critical. This is set to normal. Is this the only set to the wrong meal type? Yeah, simple. So simple or fine meals on these guys, if you don't mind. That way people aren't coming and going into the freezer all the time just to grab something to eat. I think that'll be much more efficient. And now that these are unlocked, there's really no point in having them. So let's deconstruct that. And I need to figure out something here. Because I want them to be able to exit. I want to have a little yard that they can go outside in, and I don't know, give them something to do just to kind of blow off steam. But I'd also like to incorporate this geothermal generator into the base because obviously that'll give us free heat. So I don't know how exactly I want to do that. I could give them a very small yard and just have this walled straight in there. I don't know how much I like that idea. We'll see. It's not critical right now, just something to consider. So, Greg, you managed to pick up all sorts of crap. Let's go ahead and have you unload all of it. He'll only drop one thing at a time, so I'm going to have to do this bit by bit here. Drop it all. There you go. Okay, now you're naked. Let's make sure these get hauled, and I'm going to set him, which I should have done right away. I should have set him to, I'm going to say Royal Grenadier, because he does have some melee skill. He actually prefers melee, so we'll set him up with some sort of close range gun and then a decent melee weapon. But he needs clothing first. So do we have clothing for him? I've got plenty of long coats. That's a camel hair long coat. That'll work. I think that's more or less the same color. He needs something to wear under it until we get that uniform, though. So Greg, come wear this, please. And I don't know that I want you wearing alpaca wool pants. I guess throw on these cloth jeans for the time being. But we'll get you a uniform made. And let's see, you're going to need a tactical harness as well. I forget which one. So give me 2 uniforms. Give me, which one are you guys wearing? A. Okay, so I need tactical harness A. I guess I'll make a few of those. And then we'll jump over here and not that one. I think it's the smithy. No. There we go. Yeah, make one of those. And I guess make an extra helmet just so we have one around. That works. And then we'll get him, let's see. I think I gave Fleming. No, I didn't. I thought I gave Fleming an automatic rifle. He's been using this lever action. But we did pick up a few of the Kaiser Reich submachine guns. We also have a few of the Soviet ones as well. And they were actually pretty good from what I recall. So I think giving Fleming one and Greg the other would work. What happened to all this? Oh, all the Soviet ones are, or excuse me, all the Kaiser Reich ones are still out here on the ground. Or did they not have any? No, those are all bolt-action rifles. Are these all, yeah, those are all marked as worn by a corpse. It's unfortunate because I could actually use those tactical harnesses. That's a bummer. Oh well. We'll have to recycle them. Yeah, so the sniper rifles might be the only thing of use to us there, because we already have bolt action rifles. And even then, I prefer to use our own and not theirs. Alright, well, Greg, you have your orders, so go grab that stuff. I'm going to change his body type in a second. But at least he's not considered naked now. Let's go ahead and run you down here real quick. I'm just going to give him the generic male body. And let's see. Do I like the average head on him? I kind of like that one. Although he looks a bit like Fleming. He actually has the same haircut as Fleming. So maybe a different head shape. Maybe that. Yeah, whatever. Okay, speaking of Fleming, where are you? Go ahead and drop that helmet. Greg, I'm going to ask you to go equip that. Then, I'm going to ask you to go equip a submachine gun. I guess you can have this one. Then we have a steel tomahawk. Those are probably the only melee weapons we have that actually work. So, ooh, a plasteel one. I guess you can have the plasteel one. There you go. And then he should be all equipped as soon as we get him the harness and the proper uniform. He'll be good to go. Hopefully somebody comes along and hauls all this stuff. Obviously there's not a lot of places to put it. We're a bit behind on recycling apparel. So I think something I'd like to do is get another one of these. This is the hand tailoring thing, so that's part of the problem. I need production. I want the electric tailoring bench. I'd like one in here somewhere. Oh, I need to power this. Whoops. And then I'd like one in here somewhere. So let's do that for starters. And let's do something about this here. Let's connect all of this. I'll run conduit there as well. I don't know if that'll reach, but eventually I'd like to run conduit through here, so I guess let's ask them to mine that out. And then once the walls are in, we can go ahead and run conduit. Or I guess even before the walls are in, we can run conduit. But yeah, how are we doing on wood? Not great, only 12. This is going pretty damn slow, which is unfortunate. Why is that? Well, the sun's going down, which is why it's going slow right this second, but still not doing great. This over here isn't doing particularly great either. We had to abandon this. I'm just going to delete it. But we've had very little sunshine in this playthrough. Oh, there's our other Brody helm. Okay, where did we get a field cap from? Ah, they did have a submachine gun. There's the MP18. Fleming, I'd like you to use that. I wish our own MP18s worked, but unfortunately they don't. Fleming, I'd like you to pick that up as well. Keep it in your inventory. If we ever get into anything really crazy, he can put it on. But otherwise, he's an officer, so he doesn't have to wear it at all times, like these other guys do. I wish that, and I could probably fix this. I mean, obviously with this playthrough coming to an end, it's not worth doing now, but I'd like for it not to hide their facial hair. Like, I'd like for his mustache to still show up there, because it would make him distinct from everybody else. Right now, everybody kind of looks very samey, just because they're all wearing those helmets. And that's why I added variety in the helmets, just so that we could distinguish them slightly. So like the marksmen, for examples, have like the one with the scarf on it, and then eventually the Royal Grenadiers, we're going to get ones with gas masks. But we'll see if we get that far. Okay, and then we go conduits. I guess I could have just copied them from there, but oh well. Let's run those on through. Grab a bit of wall there, drop that in. Oh, should have kept it. There we go. And more conduit here. Okay, so hopefully that gets done relatively quickly. Oh, we got an alcohol binge and a broken turbine. That's no fun. Things are coming along though. This base especially has grown very quickly compared to some of our other mountain bases. Compared to the Star Wars one, for example, I feel like this base grew much more quickly, but I think that's because we were running the prison labor mod for the entirety of this playthrough, whereas in the Star Wars one it was kind of a late addition. And so we pretty much had the prisoners mining around the clock. Somebody is very sick. You'll be fine. Yeah, there's really no need to worry about that. You're not healing particularly quickly. But it looks like they're all going to make it. We really didn't put much effort into that, and they're all going to survive, so I guess that worked out nicely. Got a lot of these camel hair clothes. The alpacable ones are the ones that I wanted to use as standard, though. And can I tell the difference there? Kind of. Come wear this, so I don't have to recolor that. It's just easier on me. And I'll have to keep an eye out for like this stuff getting finished. It looks like Petit started one. I think Dan interrupted him to do something else. I think he's making a uniform. Yeah. Good on you, Dan, but I wish you would have let Petit finish his first. Okay, so this is being powered now. That's good. Now we just need to get stuff in the hoppers. I'm just wondering if I faced in the wrong direction. I don't think it matters, though. I feel like I've placed them every which way, and as long as, you know, food made its way there, it never really made a difference. One thing I should do, though, is set these to critical. That way they get filled very, very quickly. And what's this set to? Important? Yeah. That's fine. As long as it's not critical as well. And we'll see how that goes. Let's see, are these the... Oh, those aren't dead mans. Why do we have two of those? Oh, maybe they were? I always forget that with this particular mending mod, when you repair something to 100%, even if it was dead man's clothes, repairing it removes that tag. So we can actually reuse these harnesses as long as they get repaired first, which is great. That does mean I probably don't need to make any more, though. So I'm going to set that down to 1 and let Petit handle it. We will still need to make uniforms, though. We'll still need to do that. So, I don't know what the overlap is between this playthrough and my Warhammer 40k playthrough. I assume everybody watching that one is probably watching this one too, but I don't know. You know, maybe some people are more interested in one than the other, and they don't follow both. So one thing I would like to talk about in this playthrough... Oh, I forgot to... God damn it. Anyways, one thing I'd like to talk about today, just to make sure it gets addressed in this one in case people aren't... Oh, good, he can't get there. In case people aren't following both, is obviously, I sort of touched on this already, we're going to be moving on to 1.0 soon. In the Warhammer playthrough, I've been discussing potential ideas for those future playthroughs, in particular new Warhammer 40k playthroughs, because that's, you know, what we're doing in that one. And so in this playthrough, I'd like to sort of talk about things other than Star Wars or Warhammer 40k for us to do, because one thing that I had been doing for a long time and something I'd like to continue is cool Psychic Soothe, is that I like to have 3 RimWorld playthroughs going at a time, and I basically do one on Monday, Thursday, one on Tuesday, Friday, and the other on Wednesday and Sunday. That way, I've got RimWorld every day, but it's something different most of the time, so that, you know, we're not just playing RimWorld Warhammer 40k every single day. So we still get plenty of RimWorld, but we mix things up and try to keep things interesting. And so obviously Warhammer is going to be one of them. I've already got the Star Wars playthrough planned out for 1.0. In fact, that one is probably going to be the first 1.0 playthrough we see. There is still a couple things I need to do just because, you know, obviously I had set it up for beta 19 and then it turned out beta 19 wasn't going to really matter at all. So I had to kind of hold off on that and sort of just wait and see about 1.0. So there are things I need to do to get that ready, but I think you guys will really enjoy that one. It's going to be very militaristic and slightly nomadic, if that makes any sense. I don't want to... Oh good, Cooper calmed her down. I don't want to do the same thing in every single playthrough, and so I talked about in that one I'm going to use the setup camp mod to basically have little strike teams that kind of move around the map and set up temporary locations, and then I thought maybe we could use the cargo pods, or what are they called for the... I always forget because I never really use them. The drop pods, you guys know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. But transport pods. I was thinking of using those to basically take food from our main base and just fire it to those little perimeter camps that are out conquering stuff. And so that was, you know, one thing that we're going to do, was one idea. The other one is going to be Warhammer 40k in some form or another. I had discussed maybe doing like a Space Marine Fortress Monastery or some... What just happened? Oh, food poisoning. Someone needs to rescue him. I saw him go down, and I saw this, but I didn't associate the two. Warhammer 40k in some regard, either a Space Marine Fortress Monastery or some sort of Adeptus Mechanicus forge, I don't know. But the Rimhammer mod coming out will probably influence that. That mod looks really good, and it saves me from having to do a lot of the modding work I was doing on our existing Warhammer playthrough, because I was doing a lot and it was taking me forever. So it's nice to not have to worry about that so much and let, you know, more practice modders handle that sort of thing. So those will be two. That leaves one opening for something non-Warhammer and non-Star Wars. And one thought I had that seemed to be pretty popular on those videos, but again, I don't know what the overlap is in terms of viewership. Sort of like a Jurassic Park playthrough. And I thought that would be nice because I do tend to favor, I think, more militaristic style setups or scenarios. Obviously, you know, we're in like World War I here, and we're trying to set up a base. We haven't been able to be very aggressive because we haven't been able to produce enough food to where we can have the excess, like pemmican and survival meals that we can use to go out and attack stuff. Unfortunately, we're kind of tied to our base just because we have no food to take with us. But that said, this is still like a World War I themed playthrough. Obviously, the Warhammer 40k playthrough was, or is, very militaristic. The Star Wars playthrough that we finished a couple weeks ago was a little bit more research oriented, but you know, still had some elements of militarism, if that's what you want to call it. And then the Skyrim, the short-lived Skyrim playthrough was, well, I mean, we didn't get very far, so it's hard to say. That one was more just a struggle to keep up with farming because we weren't allowed to use more advanced farming techniques like we are here. Is this working? That looks to be working. Perfect. So anyways, Jurassic Park. My thoughts were we could try to use the dinosaur mod, which I don't know if it's been updated for 1.0 yet, but there is a very long-standing RimWorld dinosaur mod that was compatible with the genetic Rim or RimWorld genetics mod that we had used in the Star Wars playthrough. There was a patch that allowed us to manipulate dinosaur genomes and stuff just like you could with the vanilla creatures, and so I thought that would be a lot of fun. It would be a little bit more research oriented, and we could try, I don't know how effective this would be, but to set up sort of like a dinosaur zoo theme park thing, just like in Jurassic World. And obviously we'd have a lot of place for guests and things like that, but then we could have a research wing. And there would still be military involved because obviously we need to go get the dinosaurs. We can't, you know, send scientists out to go collect T-Rexes. That would be a terrible idea. And people will still raid us. You know, raids will still be on, so maybe they're competing companies or something. It could be like corporate espionage or, you know, corporate sabotage. So there would still be elements of military in there, but it would be a nice change of pace from what we've been doing here. And it would give me an excuse to use some of the really cool modern military, like, tactical mods out there with all the, you know, the multicam uniforms and chest rigs and all that cool stuff. At least on the security teams and stuff like that. So that was one idea. I could try to bring this playthrough. I mean, it would be a new playthrough. We'd have to start from scratch, but I could try to bring this World War I setting over to 1.0 if there's a lot of demand for it, because obviously we weren't able to fully realize what we wanted to do here. I would have to probably wait until all of these mods make it over to 1.0 and then re-add in my textures and stuff. So basically copy the texture files over and then rewrite the XML for it. So, I mean, it's doable. But again, that gives us 3 very militaristic playthroughs, and I'd like a little bit more variety than that. People have also requested that I do something with the Call of Cthulhu mods. I don't know what direction I would take that in, but those mods are very interesting. I just haven't really figured out how best to utilize them. I was actually a bit disappointed I didn't think to use them in the Warhammer 40k playthrough, because obviously some of the elements of the Cthulhu mythos kind of mirror you know, chaos in Warhammer. And so, you know, people losing their minds and, you know, turning to the dark gods and whatnot is sort of a common theme between those. It probably could have worked there, but we didn't do that. And so I guess it's something to consider for the newer playthrough, but if we go Space Marines, I don't know that that fits particularly well. Not as well as it would have with Imperial Guardsmen, I feel like, but at this point, I don't know. So anyways, if you have any suggestions regarding ideas for new playthroughs, feel free to throw them at me. I'd be happy to hear them, and we'll see what we can do about them. My one stipulation is that I really have no desire to go back to anything in sort of a medieval setting. The Skyrim playthrough was a real wake-up call in sort of setting choices for me. Just limiting the technology that we're allowed to use that severely was a real pain. The game is really not designed for you to be subsistence farming outdoors for the entirety of your playthrough. And so for that Skyrim playthrough especially, because it was Skyrim themed, we were set up somewhere cold, very similar to this map. And it was pretty much frozen the whole time, and therefore we couldn't really grow anything except for very specific periods. And it just made growing and keeping our food supply up incredibly tedious. And then there was the fact that, you know, because it was medieval playthrough, we had to rely very heavily on melee combat. And, well, that's Hyperweave, I'll keep that forbidden. And that meant that people got wounded very often, and so while nobody ever died and we were able to fix those injuries through other mods, we never got a lot of work done because people were always in bed or being treated, and it just was not the way that RimWorld was intended to be played, and that made things incredibly difficult. So I'd prefer not to go about that again. I don't know when that got finished, but let's get him in that. So medieval stuff I think is out. I know that there was a really cool like Lord of the Rings mod for beta 18. I'm sure that's made its way to 1.0, or it will soon. But I have no real desire to go back to subsistence farming outdoors. I like having greenhouses and hydroponics basins. So something modern or futuristic is kind of what I'm looking for here. This is a sci-fi game after all, so I think that fits pretty well. We are completely out of raw food. I think we have too many people in this base. We just cannot keep up with demand here. They have cleaned this out already. Are they eating it, or are people hauling the rice away? Because that tends to happen. The animals will grab it and take it elsewhere. But let's go ahead and harvest this, because this is more or less ready. And we could use it now. How about you guys? 78. That's not going to quite do it. Oh, we have inspired recruitment. We should make sure that that gets used on... I had it right the first time. We should make sure that gets used on somebody we actually want. So, very quickly here, let's just kind of pan through our prisoners. Most of them are set to forced to work, so there's not too many people we're actively trying to recruit. You would be a waste anyways, because you are fairly easy to recruit at 57%. Prefer to use it on somebody like Khan here who's 99, but we don't want Khan in our colony. At least not as a colonist. As a prisoner, he's fine. So, Boz, you're forced to work. Lizzie, we were trying to recruit, so maybe her. That was no on both of you. Green, also a no. Bourbon, Bauer. Okay, so I thought we would consider Bauer. Yeah, I think I'd like to bring Bauer on. She is potentially a decent combatant. I mean, 6 with some passion is good enough for me. And she's also quite a capable farmer. Not that she couldn't farm from in the prison, but I think she would be worthy of recruiting. So let's set you to work and recruit. Now then, Lizzie was the other option, and she is really a fighter. So, mining, combat, and a little bit of crafting. And she's a psychopathic night owl. Either one of them, honestly. You're at, what, 93%? And you're at 85%. So Lizzie is the more difficult recruit. And I feel like she can do a little bit more for us outside of the prison. So let's actually set Bauer back to forced to work for now. That way, I think Lizzie is the only one that this can be used on. Let's see. Yeah, sure. Deliver food to her. Maybe you'll talk to her and recruit her. And then once we get Lizzie into the fold here, we'll get Bauer recruited again. Okay. So, let me check the time. And as usual, I've managed to ramble for like 10 minutes longer than I intended to. But let's go ahead and end the episode here. I like how this turned into almost like a vlog. But yeah. So let me know if you guys have any ideas regarding that third playthrough. I really like the Jurassic Park idea. But we can, of course, do something else if people are not interested in that. I know people on the other playthrough are. So I'd like to hear what people watching this one are thinking, if they are different people. Even if you're the same people, let me know, because I need ideas. And we'll leave it here for today. So thank you so much for watching. I had a great time playing some RimWorld with you, and I look forward to seeing you guys back here for the next episode.